Turn around right now, sir.
Hey, wait! What are you doing?
Stop resisting. Stop resisting right now.
I'm not resisting. You hurt my arm.
Get on the wall. Hands where I can
This
see
is my
them.
building. Check the records.
Hands behind your back. You're under arrest.
Officer Davidson had no idea what he just walked into. In the next 48 hours, his department would be investigated. The arrest would spark citywide protests. His career would be destroyed. The man he just handcuffed was James Mitchell. He owned not just that building, but 14 other properties worth over $47 million. James wasn't some random guy. He was a former city planning commissioner. He had connections to the mayor's office. He graduated from Harvard Business School. Forbes wrote about him 6 months earlier. He literally built half the block the officer was standing on, and the body cam was recording everything. James stated his name 3 times. He offered to show his building deed. Officer Davidson told him to stop resisting while James stood completely still. Before I continue, let me ask you something. Have you ever been treated unfairly by someone in power? Drop your answer in the comments. But Officer Davidson had no idea who he was handcuffing. James Mitchell was 42 years old. He was the CEO of Mitchell Properties Development Group. James had worked in real estate for 18 years. He had an MBA from Harvard Business School. He got that degree in 2008. Before that, he earned a law degree from Georgetown. He worked 3 years as a real estate attorney. Then he switched to property development. From 2015 to 2018, James served as a city planning commissioner. Over his career, he developed 47 properties across 3 states. His entire portfolio was worth $180 million. James grew up in this neighborhood when it was poor. He started his first project at age 27. He got a small business loan. Now he was known for hiring local workers. He preserved historic buildings. He was married with 2 kids in public schools. He coached youth basketball. He sponsored a scholarship fund. That Tuesday night in September, James was doing a late-night inspection. He needed to check HVAC repairs at his building. The building had retail stores on the ground floor. It had offices above. His tenants needed working air conditioning in the morning. That's it. That's all he was doing. Officer Marcus Davidson had a reputation in his precinct. He was 34 years old. He had been a cop for 8 years. Internal Affairs had 11 complaints in his file. Every single one involved the same issues: racial profiling, excessive force, abuse of authority. In 2019, Davidson detained a black teenager. He said the teen matched a suspect description, but the suspect was 4 inches shorter. The suspect was 60 pounds lighter. The case was dismissed. The department settled for $15,000. In 2020, Davidson used a chokehold during a traffic stop. The driver had expired tags. That's it. A video showed up. Davidson got suspended for 2 weeks without pay. The victim needed medical treatment. In 2022, Davidson arrested a Latino business owner. The owner was outside his own restaurant at 6 a.m. He was receiving a delivery. Davidson said he looked suspicious. The charges were dropped. The owner filed a complaint. In the past year, Davidson responded to 14 calls in this neighborhood. The area was gentrifying. 12 of those calls involved black or Latino residents. All of them lived or worked there. Fellow officers called Davidson, quote, a king. He always led in arrests, even for small things. His training supervisor flagged him twice. The reports said he had decision-making concerns, but the police union protected him every time. He recently got passed over for a promotion. People said he was bitter. That night, Davidson was responding to a 911 call. Someone reported a suspicious black male trying to break into a building. Let me know in the comments what you think about officers with this many complaints staying on the job. It was Tuesday, September 12, 2023. The time was 11:47 p.m. The location was Mitchell Tower at 1840 Commerce Street. This was a 6-story building. James owned it. It was his flagship property. The ground floor had a coffee shop, a gym, and a bakery. The upper floors had creative office spaces. Architecture firms and tech startups rented there. James had renovated the whole building. It used to be a historic building from 1924. He kept the original brick. The neighborhood was changing fast. Home prices went up 340% in 5 years. That night the street was quiet. You could hear distant traffic. Most of the building was dark. Only security lights were on. One office on the 4th floor still had lights. A tenant was working late. The loading dock area was dimly lit. There was a slight chill in the air. James arrived at 11:20 p.m. in his personal car. It was a Mercedes sedan. He parked in the owner's spot behind the building. He was wearing jeans and a Harvard hoodie. He had work boots on. He carried a clipboard, a flashlight, and his building access card. He went down to the mechanical room in the basement. He needed to check the HVAC repairs from that afternoon. At 11:43 p.m., Officer Davidson arrived. He came 4 minutes after dispatch called. He came alone, no backup. He parked his patrol car blocking the alley exit. He got out with his hand near his weapon. His spotlight was scanning. He saw James coming out of the side service entrance. James had his keys in his hand. If stories like this matter to you, hit subscribe. Now here's what happened next. Freeze, put your hands where I can see them. James was startled. He raised his hands. His keys were visible. What are you doing here? I'm checking on repairs. I own this building. Davidson looked skeptical. You own this building? Yes, sir, I'm James Mitchell. I can show you my ID and building deed if. Don't move. What's in your pockets? My phone, wallet, and keys to this building. I'm the owner. My name S on the deed. I can prove. Sure you are. Turn around. Hands on the wall. James put his hands on the wall. Officer, there's been a mistake. I'm James Mitchell. I own Mitchell Properties. This is my building. I was just. Davidson patted him down. Yeah, everyone's got a story. You got ID? Yes, in my wallet. May I reach for it? Slowly. James took out his driver's license. He took out his business card. Here's my license and my business card. The building address is 1840 Commerce. That's right here. Davidson barely looked at them. Anyone can print a business card. You got proof you own this building? Yes, I have the deed on file. I can call my attorney right now, or my property manager, or. At midnight, right, look, I got a call about someone breaking in. You're wearing a hoodie. You're around back doors. You fit the description. James's voice got tight. What description? Description of what? Suspicious person, black male, this area. James read the cop's nameplate. Officer Davidson, I've shown you my ID. My name is on this building. I'm a former city planning commissioner. I can verify everything with one phone call. Davidson got irritated. Former commissioner? Okay, buddy, and I'm the police chief. Sir, I need you to leave this property immediately. Leave, but I work here. Work here? Sure you do. James held up his keyring. It had 8 keys. No, really, I have keys and everything. So you're what, the janitor, night shift guy? I'm actually the owner. This is my building. Davidson mocked him. Right, and I'm the mayor. Sir, you're trespassing. You need to leave now or you're going in cuffs. But I can show you my. I'm done talking. Hands behind your back. You're under arrest. Up on the 4th floor, Sarah Chen heard noise. She was an architect. She rented space there. She looked out the window. She started recording on her phone. Across the street, the neighbor who called 911 realized her mistake. She came outside. Wait, officer, I think I made a mistake. Ma'am, step back. This doesn't concern you. But I'm the one who called. I didn't know he owned that. Ma'am, I said step back. James tried to turn his head. Officer, if you'll just listen. Davidson grabbed him. Stop resisting. James kept his hands up. I'm not resisting, I'm trying to. Davidson forced James face first against the wall. He put cuffs on him roughly. James stayed calm. You're making a serious mistake. This is my property. I'm the owner. My name is James Mitchell. You're under arrest for trespassing, resisting arrest, and failure to comply. James's voice was steady but strained. I want to speak to your supervisor now. Type justice in the comments if you think this arrest was wrong. Sarah Chen ran down from the 4th floor. Her phone was recording. Officer, that's Mr. Mitchell. He owns this building. I'm his tenant. Ma'am, put the phone away and step back. I'm not stepping back. You're arresting my landlord for being on his own property. James was still in cuffs. Officer Davidson, I'm telling you for the 4th time, I am James Mitchell. I own this building and 14 others in this district. I'm a former city planning commissioner. I personally know Mayor Williams, Chief Rodriguez, and City Attorney Brennan. You are making a mistake that's going to cost you your career." Davidson crossed his arms. "Is that a threat?" "No, it's a fact. I have a law degree from Georgetown. I know exactly what's happening here. I know exactly what's going to happen next. You need to uncuff me. You need to verify my identity. You need to call your supervisor right now. You don't tell me what to do." Marcus Wilson came down from the 3rd floor. He was a graphic designer who rented space there. "Officer, what's going on? Mr. Mitchell, are you okay?" He turned to Davidson. "That's our landlord. He checks on the building all the time. What's the problem?" "Sir, go back inside." "Not until you tell me why you're arresting my landlord." Sarah pulled out her phone. "I lease 1,200 square feet on the 4th floor. I pay rent to Mitchell Properties every month. That's James Mitchell. He renovated this entire building. He won a historic preserver Tion award from the city." She showed her lease agreement. Patricia Gomez, the neighbor, was near tears. "Officer, I'm the one who called, but I didn't know. I just moved here last month. I saw someone at the back door with a flashlight. I got nervous. I didn't know he owned the building. Please, this is my fault." Davidson ignored her. He walked James toward the patrol car. Marcus Wilson started recording from his window. The building's security cameras were recording from 4 angles. The body cam was recording everything Davidson said. The patrol car's dashboard cam showed James's car parked in the owner's spot. Sarah called 911 again. "An officer is arresting a property owner for being on his own building. We need a supervisor here immediately. This is 1840 Commerce Street." The dispatcher was confused. "Ma'am, if an officer is on scene." "The officer is making an unlawful arrest. Send a supervisor now." 8 minutes later, Sergeant Lisa Ramirez arrived. She saw James in cuffs in the back of the patrol car. "What do we have?" "Trespassing. Got a 911 call about a suspicious person breaking into this building. Subject refused to leave, resisted arrest." Ramirez looked at the witnesses. "Did he resist?" Sarah spoke up fast. "No, he never resisted. He told Officer Davidson 5 times that he owns this building." Ramirez walked to the car window. "Sir, what's your name?" "James Mitchell. I'm the owner of this building. My company is Mitchell Properties Development Group. I'm a former city planning commissioner. I personally know Chief Rodriguez. I'd like you to call him right now." Ramirez radioed dispatch. "Run a background check on James Mitchell." A moment later, dispatch responded. "James Mitchell, no warrants, no criminal history. Address matches 1840 Commerce Street ownership records, so that address is registered to Mitchell Properties Development Group. CEO is James Mitchell." There was a pause. "Sergeant, I'm showing that James Mitchell is a registered property owner with the city. He owns 15 properties in the downtown district. He's also flagged in our system as a former city planning commissioner." Ramirez opened the car door. "Mr. Mitchell, I apologize. There's been a misunderstanding. I'm going to uncuff you right now." James looked her in the eye. "No, don't." She looked confused. "Sir." "Don't uncuff me. Officer Davidson arrested me. He can unarrest me after I've filed a formal complaint, after I've contacted my attorney, after this entire incident is documented. I want everything on record, every second of this." By now, Officer Davidson was starting to understand how badly he messed up, but it was too late. The body cam recorded everything. The witnesses recorded everything. And James Mitchell had a law degree. He knew exactly what came next. Let me know in the comments if you think James did the right thing by staying in cuffs. 10 minutes later, Lieutenant David Park arrived. He was the watch commander with 18 years on the force. At 12:31 a.m., Captain Teresa Hawkins showed up. She was the precinct commander. Someone called her at home. James was still in handcuffs in the patrol car. He refused to be released until the full command staff was present. Lieutenant Park reviewed the body cam footage right there on scene. Policy allowed supervisors to do that for complaints. He watched James identify himself multiple times. He watched Davidson dismiss the business card and driver's license. He watched witnesses confirm James's identity. He watched Davidson ignore all of it. Captain Hawkins interviewed the witnesses. Sarah Chen showed her lease agreement. She played her phone video. Marcus Wilson gave a statement. He provided his phone footage. Patricia Gomez gave a tearful statement. I made a mistake calling, but the officer wouldn't listen when I tried to tell him. They pulled the dispatch records. The original 911 call said, "There's a black man with a flashlight trying to get into the building across the street." The caller never said breaking in. She never said forcing entry. Davidson made it sound worse when he responded. They reviewed the security footage. It showed James arriving in his car. The car was registered to him. It showed James parking in a spot marked owner. It showed James using keys to unlock the service entrance. No forced entry. It showed James coming out with keys in his hand when Davidson arrived. It showed the entire confrontation from 4 angles with audio. Davidson's story fell apart fast. His report said James was trying to force entry. The security footage showed James using keys. He was leaving, not entering. Davidson's report said James refused to show ID and got hostile. The body cam showed James giving his license and business card right away. His voice stayed calm the whole time. He asked multiple times to call a supervisor. Davidson said no every time. Davidson's report said James physically resisted arrest. Every camera angle showed James with his hand raised. He followed commands. He never pulled away. He never fought. Davidson yelled, "Stop resisting," when James tried to turn his head to speak. That's not physical resistance. At 12:47 a.m., Captain Hawkins made her decision. James was released from the handcuffs. The arrest was voided immediately. No booking, no charges filed. Officer Davidson was ordered back to the precinct. He had to surrender his duty weapon and badge right there. He was suspended immediately pending investigation. Captain Hawkins personally apologized to James. All witnesses got case numbers for official statements. Davidson's body cam was still on. It caught his reactions. "Sir, I was responding to a 911 call. I followed procedure." Captain Hawkins shook her head. "This is ridiculous. He didn't comply with my commands. I have 8 years on the force. You're suspending me over a misunderstanding." "Officer Davidson, you arrested a man for being on his own property. He identified himself 5 times. Witnesses confirmed who he was. You were shown physical proof. You ignored all of it. That's not a misunderstanding. That's misconduct. Now go to the precinct and wait for internal affairs." James was shaking but composed. He spoke briefly with Captain Hawkins about filing a formal complaint. He told the witnesses, "Thank you, seriously, thank you for speaking up." Sarah Chen hugged him. Marcus Wilson offered to give a statement to James's attorney. Patricia kept apologizing. James told her, "You didn't do anything wrong. You saw something, you said something. That's what you're supposed to do. He's the one who messed up." By 1 a.m., word was spreading among tenants. The group text was blowing up with support messages, but the consequences were just beginning. At 11:58 p.m., while James was still in cuffs, Sarah Chen uploaded her video to Twitter. Her caption said, "Cop just arrested my landlord for trespassing on his own building. This is James Mitchell, commercial developer and former city planning commissioner. Watch how many times he identifies himself. This is what racial profiling looks like." By morning, it would have 2.4 million views. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button because this story is about to explode. At 11:58 p.m. on September 12th, Sarah posted her 4-minute video to Twitter. Her caption included the hashtags #JusticeForJames and racial profiling. By 12:47 a.m., the video had 47,000 views and 2,100 retweets. Local activists started sharing it. The hashtag James Mitchell began trending in the city. By 2:15 a.m., there were 180,000 views across Twitter and TikTok. Marcus Wilson posted his footage too. A local journalist saw the video. She started making calls. Comments flooded in. "This is exactly what we've been talking about. Even successful black men aren't safe." At 6 a.m., local morning news led with the story. The station interviewed Sarah Chen Liv. She said, "He showed his ID. He told them he owned the building. They didn't care. This man rebuilt our entire neighborhood and got arrested for standing on his own property." By then, the video had 890,000 views on Twitter. It was trending number 3 in the state. At 9:30 a.m., national news picked up the story. CNN and MSNBC mentioned it during morning shows. Forbes published an article. The headline said, "Developer they profiled 6 months ago arrested on his own property." The video hit 1.8 million views. James Mitchell was trending nationally. By noon, city council members were calling for an investigation. Mayor Williams released a statement. "I am deeply concerned by this incident involving Mr. Mitchell, who has been a valuable partner in our economic development efforts." The police chief announced an external review. By midnight on September 13th, the video had 4.2 million views across all platforms. Instagram Reels had 980,000 views. TikTok had 1.7 million views across multiple reposts. Twitter had 1.5 million views. YouTube news segments had 400,000 combined views. Total reach was estimated at 12 to 15 million people in the first 48 hours. Comments kept coming. One user wrote, "This is what systemic racism looks like. A black man with a law degree owning 47 million in property, former city commissioner. He still gets arrested on his own building. If this can happen to him, what about the rest of us?" Another said, "The neighbor even came out and said she made a mistake calling 911, and the cop still arrested him. This wasn't about investigating a call. This was about teaching a black man a lesson." 3 days later, on September 15th, James Mitchell walked into the federal courthouse. He had a team of civil rights attorneys with him. He wasn't just filing a complaint. He was filing a lawsuit against Officer Davidson, the police department, and the city itself. Comment below if you think the lawsuit was justified. James Mitchell filed a federal civil rights lawsuit on September 15, 2023. That was 3 days after the arrest. He sued Officer Marcus Dav. Eidson, the city police department, and the city itself. His legal team came from Brennan and Associates civil rights law firm. They specialized in police misconduct cases. They had an 87% win rate. The lawsuit claimed unlawful arrest, excessive force, racial profiling, failure to intervene, and municipal liability. It said the city failed to train and supervise officers with complaint histories. During discovery, they found Davidson's full personnel file. It showed 11 previous complaints over 6 years. In 2019, he used excessive force. He got a 2-week suspension. In 2020, there was a racial profiling complaint. It was dismissed due to lack of video evidence. Also in 2020, another use of force complaint. He got a 1-week suspension. In 2021, a false arrest allegation. The city settled that one for $15,000. In 2022, another racial profiling complaint at a Latin-owned restaurant. That one was still pending when James got arrested. There were 6 more complaints ranging from unprofessional conduct to abuse of authority. The department knew about the pattern. Internal Affairs flagged Davidson as an officer of concern in a 2021 memo, but he never got extra training. No supervisor oversight, no counseling. James's legal team counted all the evidence: 4 security camera angles, 1 body cam, 1 dash cam, 2 witness phone videos, 7 witness statements, 47 pages of dispatch records. Davidson's written report contradicted the video evidence on 8 separate points. They also had James's psychological evaluation, showing emotional trauma. The city fought the charges at first. They said the officer acted reasonably, but as discovery went on, the city changed its strategy. In November 2023, city attorneys approached James's team about a settlement. The city feared a jury trial. Every camera angle showed James cooperating. Every angle showed Davidson ignoring him. Wait until you hear the settlement amount. On January 18, 2024, 4 months after the arrest, they reached a deal. The total payout was $3.8 million. That broke down to $2.4 million in damages for emotional distress and violation of rights. Another $800,000 in punitive damages to punish Davidson and stop future misconduct, and $600,000 in attorney's fees and court costs. It was one of the largest settlements in city history for a false arrest case. Taxpayers paid it, not Davidson personally. In March 2024, Internal Affairs finished their investigation. They recommended firing Davidson. In April 2024, there was a police commission hearing. Davidson was fired for cause. He lost his pension eligibility. He had only served 8 years and 4 months. He needed 10 years to vest. The State Post Commission revoked his peace officer license. He couldn't be hired by any agency in the state. He was blacklisted from law enforcement. The city prosecutor originally refused to file criminal charges, but public pressure forced the district attorney to reopen the case. In June 2024, a grand jury indicted Davidson. The charges were official oppression and filing a false police report. Both were misdemeanors. In September 2024, Davidson pleaded no contest to avoid trial. His sentence was 2 years probation, 200 hours of community service, a $5,000 fine, and mandatory counseling for implicit bias training. He got a permanent restraining order. He couldn't contact James Mitchell or any witnesses. He got no jail time. That decision was controversial. Protesters gathered at the courthouse. In April 2024, after his firing, Davidson released a written statement through his attorney. It said, "I regret the situation that occurred. I was responding to what I believed was a legitimate call. I apologize to Mr. Mitchell for any distress this caused." The public and James's attorneys rejected the apology. They called it hollow and self-serving. It didn't take responsibility. It used passive voice. It ignored that James proved who he was 5 times. Davidson now works security at a private company. He's divorced. His wife filed 2 months after he got fired. People say he's thinking about leaving the state. In February 2024, the City Council held a public hearing on police reform. They invited James to testify. This is what he said. "That night changed me. I stood on my own property, a building I'd spent 3 years fixing up, a project I'd poured my savings into, and I was treated like a criminal. I told Officer Davidson 5 times who I was. 5 times, he didn't care. Because in that moment my education didn't matter, my business didn't matter, my role as a city commissioner didn't matter. All he saw was a black man in a hoodie, and he decided I was guilty." James paused. "I haven't slept well since September 12th. I flinch when I see police cars. I second-guess myself when I'm at my own buildings late at night. My kids ask me why I got arrested. How do you explain to a 9-year-old that their dad got arrested for being black in the row? NG place at the wrong time." Continued, "I have advantages most people don't. I have a law degree, I knew my rights, I could afford a legal team, I had video evidence from multiple angles, I had witnesses willing to speak up, I had connections to people in power, and even with all of that I still spent 40 minutes in handcuffs being treated like a criminal. Now imagine you're a retail worker, a janitor, a delivery driver. You don't have a law degree, you can't afford lawyers, you don't know the mayor. What happens to you? You end up with an arrest record. You lose your job, you pay bail you can't afford, and nobody cares because you don't make the news." James looked directly at the council. "If you work in retail, in service, in any job where people treat you like you're disposable, I want you to know something. You have rights. You deserve dignity. You don't have to accept abuse. You deserve better. And I'm going to spend the rest of my career making sure you get it." He ended with this. "This wasn't just about me. Officer Davidson violated the principle that we're all equal under the law, that we all deserve to be heard, that we all deserve dignity. I'm fighting this fight because if we don't demand better, if we don't hold the system accountable, then we're just waiting for the next person to get arrested on their own property. I refuse to accept that reality, and I hope you do too." But James's case showed a bigger problem. Studies show black Americans are stopped by police 3.5 times more than white Americans. They're arrested at 5 times the rate for similar crimes. Between 2015 and 2024, U.S. cities paid $3.2 billion in police misconduct settlements. Officers rarely pay these settlements. Taxpayers do. 98% of officers accused of misconduct face no criminal charges. Only 2.9% of complaints result in discipline. James got justice because he had resources, documentation, credibility, and attention. Most victims don't. Share this video if you think others need to see this story. So let me ask you, do we live in a country where you need a law degree and millions of dollars just to be believed when you're standing on your own property? Do we accept a system where Officer Davidson had 11 complaints before he arrested James Mitchell, and nobody did anything until 4 million people watched the video? Do we keep paying billions in settlements while bad cops face consequences less than 3% of the time? Because if we don't fix the laws that protect bad cops, if we don't fix the union contracts that keep officers with a dozen complaints on the street, if we don't fix the culture that treats people like James Mitchell as threats instead of citizens, then we're just waiting for the next Marcus Davidson, the next unlawful arrest, the next $3.8 million settlement paid by you while nobody goes to jail. Comment below if you believe Officer Davidson should have faced criminal charges, not just probation. If you think stories like this matter, hit that subscribe button. We're going to keep exposing these stories. We're going to keep demanding better. We're going to keep fighting for a system where your rights don't depend on your bank account, where justice doesn't require going viral, where police who break the law face the same consequences as everyone else. This isn't just about one bad cop or one wrongful arrest. It's about all of us. See you in the next one.